Hey guys, how's it going? It's Nick from Blink Productions, and today is Tech Tuesday. So today we're going to be looking at why Nikons aren't the best at video. So I've had a lot of experience with Nikon cameras. In my first 2 years of filmmaking, photography and videography, I used Nikon cameras, mainly because I didn't know that they were bad when I got into videography and photography. And actually I didn't even know I was going to get into videography in the first place. And Nikon cameras are actually alright for photos. So as I went on, I learned that Nikon cameras aren't good for videos, and not many filmmakers, or if any filmmakers, use them at all for professional video. So I made the switch and now I'm using Sony A7iii. And I had to buy, of course, switching over from a different brand, you've got to buy different lenses, different accessories, and of course the body. But buying all that was worth it for the benefits of something that's not Nikon. So we're going to go over the reasons why. If you're getting into video, don't get a Nikon camera. So we're going to start with the lenses. So the lenses all use a Nikon F mount. And that means that they only work with Nikon cameras, a bit how Apple only works with other Apple products. So unlike Canon, Sony, Fujifilm, they all have lenses that are interchangeable, and there's third-party manufacturers that make more lenses for them. So unlike that, Nikon doesn't have that because the Nikon lenses only fit the Nikon bodies. The next reason why I wouldn't choose a Nikon camera for videography is the autofocus. So the autofocus, to sum it up, is quite terrible. Unless you're racking focus, when you point this at a subject, it'll get focus on it, but about 4 to 5 seconds later, it'll hunt for focus again. Even if it's in focus, even if the subject doesn't move, it'll start hunting for focus. So here's an example of something that I actually shot with the Nikon cameras. And you can see that it's just quite distracting, it doesn't look professional, and it actually came up a lot in the comments of this video. So that's not it. If you have autofocus on and you're willing to deal with it, you can actually hear the focus ring moving, and it's really, really loud. So every 4 or 5 seconds you'll hear a choo-choo, and that's it, trying to find focus again. Which it will do, it'll just come out of focus and back in focus, for what seems like no reason at all. The next reason I would not choose a Nikon camera is that they're not made for video. And probably the best one that would be made for video is probably this one here, which is the Nikon D750. Every other Nikon camera is essentially the same. The best it can shoot is 1920 by 1080, 25 frames a second. This one here in particular goes up to 60 frames per second. But that's only this one here. If you go up even to the $6,000 Nikon cameras, they shoot the same as this one here, which is 1920 by 1080, 25 frames a second. So this one is $2,000 and it still shoots 1920 by 1080, 60 frames a second. Now my Sony, on the other hand, is also $2,000, except it shoots 4K, 60 frames a second, 1920 by 1080, 100 frames a second. So it's clearly just a better option if you can do video is to go Sony or Canon. These ones are really not made for video. Now this next point is something you probably might not even pick up as a beginner, but what it is the color science of the cameras. As you probably know, each brand has its own color science, Canon being one of the best. So when shooting with the Nikon cameras, normally it looks flat, but even when I try to bring the colors out in After Effects or Premiere, it still comes off looking flat and not like it's being pushed to its potential. Now, of course, I don't mean to bash the Nikon name, they are still good for stills, and I think they are working on their video modes with their DSLRs now that they've realized that they've fallen behind a bit when it comes to that aspects, but they're still good for stills, and if that's what you're into, then Nikon cameras are still a good option. So that's my thoughts on Nikon cameras and why I've switched to Sony. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.